So for me, I feel like your purpose is something that you are really, really good at, something that you don't mind doing, something that you do every day on a daily basis that you're just not getting paid for.
Yeah.
And it feels good because when you start working and again, going back to what society wants you to do, like, oh, you got to go get a degree, you got to go work a 9 to 5, you got to do all this stuff.
Yeah. Like, that's how it led me to doing hair. Like, and it's so funny because I used to literally hashtag doing hair is deeper than hair. Mm-hmm. I've always used to say that. And it's not up until this year that I really know what that even means for real. Like,
we are all called for a purpose, and we have to live out our purpose. Don't let anything stop you from getting a relationship with God, knowing God for yourself, and being okay. Well, it's okay to talk about it. Yeah. Because he said, if you deny me, I'm going to deny you.
Yeah. I don't like the way that the system is. I don't like how they treat black men. I don't like certain things that the culture pushes on us. I don't like what they do to our people. So it made me want to change that. Yeah. So that's how I figured out my purpose, because I figured out what made me angry about what I didn't like. And I'm like, I want to change that.
Hi, welcome to C Notes. I'm Sierra, the founder and host of C Notes, and today's episode is Work Smarter, Not Harder. And this is not about productivity or I'll say the hustle culture tips. This is not about no hustle mentality, because y'all know I'm not about that. I'm not here to give you no quick, rich schemes. This is about purpose, about designing a life that flows from truth, not one that's forced by fear, expectation, or survival mode. We've all heard the cliche, don't put all your eggs in one basket. But for years, I misunderstood what that meant. I thought it meant try everything just in case something sticks and I get rich. So that's exactly what I did. I mean, I've done so many jobs in my life. I worked in telemarketing, almost every single fast food restaurant, nursing homes, adult day centers. Of course, I was a probation officer, a tax preparer, a real estate agent, a doula, a credit repair coach. I dabbled in some stocks and here and there, planned parties, taught as a professor at 2 different universities, you know what I'm saying? But it's not a flex, because none of that stuff truly made me, I'll say, feel like I was at peace or feel like I was working in purpose. I'm just being honest. It was all great. I'm happy I got the experience, because I know and I learned so much now I have the ability, if somebody does want to work in one of those fields, I can give them that guidance and feedback. But y'all know my purpose, therapy for the world, okay? But with all those jobs, I never felt connected. I was doing the most, but feeling the least. I was always chasing the next trend, chasing the money, chasing approval, chasing the feeling of just being enough, honestly, for this world. Until one day I just stopped. I stopped chasing and I started choosing alignment instead. That was my turning point. I bet it on me. And when I did, God showed out. Which I'm just gonna say, that gets me into our first song today. Erykah Badu, Window Seat.
So can I get a window seat? Don't want nobody next to me.
This song, it reminds me that I had what I wanted. I just didn't know it. Oh, I'm gonna talk about that on the last episode, okay? Okay, y'all, I be getting sidetracked. I just be talking, but I had to stop booking myself for every opportunity that didn't match my calling. I had to stop performing for paychecks and start positioning myself for purpose, because a lot of us are putting pressure on ourselves to pay bills than we are to pay attention to our own purpose. I remember reading something, I think it was in Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and I think it was like something like, the bill collector's gonna call. They're gonna apply the pressure, trust me. But who's pressuring you to show up for you? Who's pressuring you to create the life you don't want to escape? I am. That's why I'm here doing these shows, doing these episodes, writing my book, giving y'all this information. I'm putting the pressure on y'all to create the life you don't want to escape. I don't want y'all to have my life. I want you to have your life. Which it also reminds me, when I was teaching, one of my students had to do this presentation and they presented on this TED Talk, and it was about procrastination, the procrastination monkey. Y'all should look it up. And it was just talking about basically the pressure, putting the pressure on yourself to live. Yeah, and it makes me think of this quote. I remember reading it and I was like, dang. But it's this quote that goes something like, procrastination is the arrogant assumption that God owes you another chance to do tomorrow what you could have did today. Okay. But some of us are procrastinating, not just on tasks, but on living. That's why I did. Wake up, you're missing your life. But we're putting off purpose. We're putting off the dream. Y'all know me. Dream big, baby. But we're waiting for the right moment and letting life pass us by. And listen, survival is not purpose. And when I talk about survival, it's just this mentality that a lot of us have to live. Like, we're not in, I'm just saying, caveman times or back in the day. Like, look how far we've come. God has blessed us with so many opportunities so we don't have to just survive. We can start living in alignment, because purpose is living with meaning. So I'm asking you today, are you working from fear or from faith? Are you choosing what's safe or what's sacred? Are you living to survive or living to create? Because Proverbs 16:3 says, commit thy works unto the Lord and thy thoughts shall be established. Y'all better manifest those dreams, baby. Okay. But when you commit from intent, your thoughts settle, your path gets clearer, your spirit feels lighter. That's when you start working smarter, not harder. When I first started C Notes, it was just a podcast. Just me blending therapy and music, you know what I'm saying? My favorite loves, you know what I'm saying? But because I stayed aligned with my truth, it grew. Now it's books, poetry, workshops, retreats coming soon, healing, merchandise coming soon. Merchandise, events, community. And I just love it. It's no longer a side hustle. It's a ministry. It's my ministry, because I stopped boxing myself in and I started creating from one truth, therapy for the world. We don't need to do more just to look productive, because a lot of people feel like if they're not busy, they're not living, honestly. But you want to be busy living. I want to enjoy my life. I want to make sure everything I'm doing is rooted in my truth, rooted in my values and my morals. And that's why you have to slow down, because that being busy all the time, you're not really reflecting on your life. You're not really doing what God called you here to do, because every move I make is sacred. But let me just say this. You don't need to pick one thing and sit still. You just need to be faithful to the truth of who you are and let God build on everything else around that. But let's get into today's conversation, okay? Okay, so purpose. I think a lot of people may not be knowing it. And I feel like when people are seeking therapy, they're really seeking to find their purpose. And I eventually have people asking me, what do you think my purpose is? I'm like, I can't tell that.
I know, right?
You know, it starts with relationship, and it starts with, that healing from sexual abuse. It starts with grief. It starts with this. And they're really just seeking like purpose. And what is that? But what has been your process in finding your purpose, and what do you feel like your purpose is? I want to know.
So, man, purpose, that is a subject that a lot of people, they just automatically want to know. Like, if I know exactly what my purpose is, everything in my life will make sense. And it's just not. From experience, I ended up seeing, because I was one of those people before, like I wanted to but man, from experience, you end up seeing that that is not how you find your purpose. Like it's just not that. It's not as complicated as we make it, and it's not as simple as
I agree. Yes.
I think my journey has been hilarious. My life journey has been hilarious. What has led me to what I'm like, me learning my purpose is through, you know what? It has been through me listening to my intuition.
Yes.
Like, my purpose and listening to my intuition has not been easy because of the dynamics I grew up in.
Oh my goodness, I'm so happy that you mentioned this, and I'm sorry, but I recently, I don't know how I got there, but I recently just was doing some studying and researching, like, what's the oldest form of spirituality? Like, when we think about spirituality, what's the term that pops up? Intuition. I researched and intuition popped up.
Yes.
And prior to me even doing my research, I have been talking to my clients saying, your intuition is there for a reason. God gave us intuition. We need to listen. And of course, that voice has become quiet because of this inner critic, this inner voice in our head, the family, the everything through our experiences. But once you know yourself, when you start learning yourself, conscious creator, you know, you do create, and we all create, and
Absolutely.
being in control of that.
Yes.
That leads you straight to your purpose. When you start it leads you straight to it. And that's the complicated part is you got to work on yourself.
You gotta work. I just made a TikTok and said the reason why you can't find your purpose is because you're avoiding your healing.
Exactly. That's the that's
the truth.
It is.
It's absolutely the truth, because we live in a sinful world, and we have trauma, we have inner child wounds.
Mm-hmm.
The way you find your purpose is by healing that.
Yes.
When you functioning in your trauma, in your wounds, you're not functioning as your higher self.
Mm-hmm.
In order to find your purpose, you need to be getting closer to the higher self of you. And your intuition is your higher self, literally talking to you.
Let me say this. So this just came to me in this moment, and I'm not gonna say just came to me, but I'm putting it all together.
Yes.
I tell people, honestly, we know our purpose when we're born. When we create it, we know what it is. Yes. We lose it over time.
Yes.
Parents telling you that's not a realistic.
Yes.
You know, and I say now, when you working on yourself and you doing this healing journey and you going through this, you're finding it again. That's what it is. You know what it is deep down. You know what your purpose is.
Literally.
You may not have a clear picture, but working on yourself, you're gonna find it.
And guess what? That is the reason why I love pushing birth charts. Mm-hmm. Because you know what your birth chart shows you?
Yeah, everything.
It goes back to your soul.
And then let me say,
it reminds you.
I know a lot of people don't. I know a lot of people who don't agree with astrology and they don't agree with it, but I'm gonna just say some stuff about mom, and then you can tell yours. My birth chart, it's me. I'm like, and I love it. I love it.
Look, I can start
telling me that's Leo in me.
Yes.
But my purpose. So okay, South North Node. I come from Leo, and I'm going into Aquarius, and we're going in with Pluto and Aquarius.
North Node is Aquarius.
Yes, it is.
Period.
Yes. Everything in my chart says healer. Everything in my chart says therapist, philosopher. That is me at my root. Literally, that is who I am. Literally. If I would have knew that when I went to college, I had no idea, no inclination of
your soul did though. Your soul.
I did. It did. When I was younger, I always said nurse, lawyer, doctor, the stuff we hear, And when I went to school, I'm like, I didn't even think about none of that. I was like teacher, because my mom, my mom was a teacher.
Yes.
She did that teaching, and I feel like that was my mom's calling. So I went to education, and then they told me I should minor in social work. It goes good together. So my sophomore year, my first day of class, literally intro to social work, I walked in there and they had all these different things you can do.
Yeah.
And I walked out of that, I'm like, and we talking about life? And we talking about this is what I want to do. You know, I really changed my major, and even in that, I still got lost in stuff because I became an officer. I still was letting the noise and the light to be
part of your. You had to go through that. Yes,
I did.
yes.
And it found me. Like literally, therapy found me. I didn't go to school to become a therapist. That never was in my mind, especially in the Black community. We don't think about therapy. So I became a probation officer. And even in that, I was a therapist. The guys up in there crying, talking.
Right.
Literally a year later, 2 years later, Sierra, you changed my life. And I know I'm like, but that makes me feel good to hear that I had an impact on somebody's life.
Yes.
Then COVID happens. I go to the hospital, working as a therapist in the hospital, people who are, experiencing suicide or suicide ideation, things like that. And they, the ones who, you need to open up your private practice. You need to start your own, I was like, okay, still, my God has been with me.
God was sending people to be here. Literally, push you towards your purpose.
Yes, and now it's like, okay, you need to do this on a larger scale. So, C-Notes, Therapy for the World. And now me being more intentional, I need to talk about topics that really will hopefully have an impact on the world, people, whoever's meant to receive.
When I see your topics, I said, yeah. This is it. And it's so funny because our life is so similar and so different in so many ways. That is so funny because that's how all of those little ways is how I got led to what I'm learning to be my part of my purpose. Because and it's so funny because it started from me actually being disobedient to what my family would expected me to be, which was a nurse. Literally went to school for nursing, graduated, left it. I knew in my heart I only went nursing for my mom. I knew it was for my mom. Would I have been a good nurse? Yes. But it's so funny. People even you reached out and people always say man, you give some good advice. That people been trying to hire me to be the life coach before I can even think about what a life coach is.
Yeah.
And it's so crazy that it's from my experience. Like you said, that's not something I was pushed to go to school for.
Yeah.
When I met my ex, I was like, when I found out he was a philosopher, and when I found out what philosophy really is, I said, what?
Yeah.
I want to go to school for that. I wish I would have went to school for that. I love astrology, philosophy, the different understandings of life. That's
the ology, period. Yeah.
And all of that truly actually led me to astrology and birth charts and seeing how birth charts actually help me heal and help me find my purpose. And so I'm like, okay, so I know my purpose has to do with something with helping people, especially women, be self-aware of themselves.
Yeah.
Learning how to actually learn who they are. Learning who they and getting their power back. Because in my life, I've had so many obstacles in getting my power back. Getting power back is not for the weak sometimes. And it's work. It takes a lot of work. And I know I'm here to help women, guide them into, because I had such a hard time doing it. I know how to do it. I know I got, advice on teaching people to actually make it easier for them so people can live in a fulfillful life as their higher self and not in a low vibrational environment. So that's and it's so funny because our purpose can be in so many things. We have many different purposes.
Yeah.
And it can be something as simple as just saying, telling a kid, they look nice or be careful. It could be so simple. But
I'm rewriting my book, okay?
Yes.
It'll be done by the time this air, but I'm releasing it on the 21st. And I wrote this chapter. The last chapter I've been working on is don't put all your eggs in one basket. And I was like, for a long time, I felt like I had that cliche confused. So for me, don't put all your eggs in one basket. It's about diversifying. So probation officer, real estate, doula, tax preparer, credit preparer. You know, I'm all over. I'm scattered.
Really?
And I said, that's not really what it really truly for me means. I'm like, C notes, it allows me to diversify because now C notes is my purpose. It's my baby. It's my I get to do this podcast. I get to write books. I get to be about music. I'm everywhere, but it's still within my purpose and my world. You know, and like you said, sometimes it is like when I hear somebody say, "Man, I'm sorry, I'm so stupid," I think, "No, you're not." That right there, I'm helping. Still, that's therapy.
And that is so true. And that's how, like me doing hair. Do you know me not being in nursing allowed me to do? I went full throttle in doing hair.
Mm-hmm.
What did doing hair teach me? That I'm literally therapying women and that we therapying each other. My hair sessions are therapy sessions.
Yeah.
We cry, we bawl, we laugh. I'm able to be an ear to these women, a space where they really don't get.
Yeah.
For 5-6 hours, sometimes 12 hours.
Yeah. And I can see that being very therapeutic. What can happen and change.
Listen.
Time.
Like I used to think, like I know I'm a good braider. I love the work that I do, and I believe in my work. But I started realizing these people is not coming to me just because of braids.
Yeah.
No, this is their safe place.
Yeah.
I created a safe place for them to actually speak and not be judged and say how they feel and get advice. And we give it's I feel like therapy is it's teacher student. It's a dynamic where both people learn
from me. That's what I always say too. In my therapy session, I be therapying myself. I'm like, therapy be happening on both.
Yes.
And I'm telling you, when I'm in my therapy session, like for a week, I'll be like, oh, this is my thing. Because in every session, this is what we're talking about. Because even through the healing journey itself, like when I became a therapist, which started in like 2020, my healing journey started. Why? Because I'm therapying these people, but I was
your spiritual awakening. Even from you talking, I've heard many spiritual awakenings in your lifetime.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's been a process between, and it's still happening because once again, everything it's a journey.
Absolutely.
Life is a journey.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I was definitely, and then I was like, I can't sell nothing that I'm not willing to buy. So I had to start using these tools. I had to
be your authentic self.
I had to start changing how I eat because I know food plays a big part in emotions.
Yes.
In your everyday thing.
Absolutely.
Even with the celibacy thing.
Yes.
Knowing that my clients needed to be celibate. And I'm like, I can't be telling them to be celibate.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so that's how I function. Like everything that I do actually helps me be like disciplined.
Yeah, that's my word for this year, 2024 discipline. It was last year, discipline. This year. Yeah, but discipline is something that we all need to practice.
Yes.
It's not like restraining yourself. A lot of people don't like the word discipline because it's restraining yourself from things that you don't need.
That's not.
Yeah.
That's preventing you to be who you really want to be. Like, why wouldn't you want to, like put that aside a little bit? I'm not saying all of it, but it starts small. Like,
start small. And that's
it.
Start small.
You don't gotta overwhelm yourself and think like I gotta get all this done at once. No,
and that's what people think. Even like with the no meat, they like that's when you start really large. Some people can do it, but on a mass level, start small. I'm like, I didn't stop eating meat completely when I first started my journey. Yeah. I now because I haven't said this out loud on air before. What started my journey? I was in Vegas.
Yes.
And I you know, the singer Sierra. I love Sierra, you know. And she was downstairs from our hotel, and it's ironic because we went to the club the night before, and he saw my ID. He said, "You know, Sierra gonna be here tomorrow." I said, "No, she not. It's not advertised or promoted nowhere." He's like,
wow.
So I'm, you know, with my family, and my family is from the South, and the South, we've been eaters. And I've always been a big eater my whole entire life. I was even when I was born. Let me just say that.
Right.
Big on food. So, but I had already kind of slowed down during this time, but in my mind, this is so full circle. One of my first client this morning said, and I only met with her four times. This is my fourth time, and I'm like, even how I'm helping people is accelerating. But she said she don't know anything about me and my authentic journey. She said, you know what? My word for next year is going to be authentic, because I don't want to live my life through the lenses of other people. And I think a lot of people do that. So back to this story, I was living my life through the lens of other people too. Like, I didn't want my family to be like, "Oh, you too bougie. You don't want to eat. Like, you
don't eat meat no more." Like,
I didn't even have that concept in my mind that I was gonna stop eating meat. Seriously,
literally
at that moment. So we went to Del Taco. I'm so disappointed in myself, but nah, I'm just.
Yes.
We went to Del Taco. Why go to Del Taco and I ate a burger? I was sick. I'm hearing Sierra downstairs. I'm on his toilet. I'm on his toilet. Right. I'm sick. I'm like, and I'm on her Instagram. I'm like, I can't even go downstairs because of what I ate. Because of what I ate.
Wow.
I was like, no more red meat. And that's what I started with. Red meat.
That is something that's why it's so important. That is why it's important to listen to our intuition, because the intuition can speak into something that's silly. That's silly.
It was like, you gonna let
let the red meat not let you meet Sierra. Like, I know that's stuck in your head. Like,
yeah, and it did. I was like, no. So I stopped eating red meat. And
wow.
When my father passed, I went to see this guy speaking, motivational speaker, and he was like, a lot of times we be tricking ourselves. Like, he's like, oh, I'm not gonna do this, and then he's like, and the most obvious one, even the example he said was, I'm gonna stop smoking weed. And then you like, why? Who am I doing this for? I don't need to stop smoking weed. If I want to stop, I can stop. But stop then. If you
exactly,
you know what I'm saying? So it was like, so if it's something you've been wanting to do, and I hadn't even been wanting to do it, but God said it, I guess. I was like, you know what?
It's so good. That's something you needed.
I said, I don't eat meat no more. And then from that day forward, I stopped eating meat, and that's just how it's been. But
I love that. That's amazing.
Yeah, it was, but
I know that is amazing. Something it's simple, but it's big. That was big for you. It may sound simple to somebody else, but for your own journey, your own path, that was a light bulb. Like, okay, yep. And that's just really how it works. I feel like that's how it works, is following that intuition. Like I truly follow my intuition too.
Yeah.
Like, that's how it led me to doing hair. Like, and it's so funny because I used to literally hashtag doing hair is deeper than hair.
Mm-hmm.
I've always used to say that. And it's not up until this year that I really know what that even means for real. Like, my soul always told me, like, it's deeper than hair. Like, I got to learn so much from women for this past 6 years that I've been doing hair with my business. Like, I got to learn so much, to the point where, like, just continuing listening to that intuition.
Yeah.
It led me to be here with you. Like, you know, like, literally, like.
And that's what I was gonna say. Like, I really never, prior to, social media, I met you through social media, and I was like, the stuff that I was seeing you post, and that's why I say you gonna gravitate towards what you need to gravitate towards. And I was like, it was positive. I could relate to most of everything that you were saying, and I loved it. And it was, it wasn't a lot of negativity or clickbait stuff, and I was just like, I like this girl, you know.
Yes,
So I definitely I was like, yeah, and I'm so happy because everything that we've discussed, everything we've talked about, I know wholeheartedly you're gonna help so many people.
Thank you.
Just by sharing your story. I'm like, somebody said this before, but everybody has a story in them, and you need to share it. We need to share it with the world, and you don't know, sharing your story can change somebody's life.
Absolutely. I truly believe that. I truly believe that because people should like me see you being authentic. Like I love all your stuff. Like I just be like, oh my God, like she's so freaking dope to me. Like it's so inspiring. Like you just like traveling, dress. I love your passion. Like it's encouraging. It allows people, me, to be myself, you know, because sometimes I think I'm too much.
Be too much. That's what I be telling you.
And I'm getting emotional. Oh my God.
Oh, no, that's okay. Yeah.
Yeah, but I love when people are themselves because I grew up in an environment where I couldn't be myself. When people are themselves, it allows me to be myself. So I'm like, yes, like please.
Yeah, and that's what I want for everybody. Honestly, I want. That's why I said it's not that I'm advocating for a selfish society. I'm advocating for an authentic society.
Absolutely.
You know, a society that's filled with people who are being their authentic self.
Yes.
And to reach that authentic self, you do have to go on that healing journey. You do have to work on self because a lot of us are, you know, people may think they're being themselves by being hard, by being, but that's not you.
That's not.
God, you are created with love. So you just got to find your way. And once we all do that,
life will be so much easier. It's gonna be, and you know what? I believe it. I believe that it's happening. Like I feel like you doing this work, me trying to start doing this. Like
you are doing it. You doing it.
Thank you. I feel like that's what changes the vibration in collectives. Like truly, like people being like authentic. Like being authentic is literally the highest vibration. Like outside of love and being authentic, that's 5D. Like that's 5D, and I'm trying to remain in 5D. Like I don't wanna, I don't want any low vibrational stuff, and it starts with being self-aware. It starts with self-development. It starts with healing. It starts with learning who you are, actually remembering. Like we say, knowing who you are, but it's really remembering because you mentioned it earlier.
Yeah, it is remembering who you are.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I agree.
Yes.
I agree. Thank you so much. Thank you. No, but is there a message you want to leave to the world in regards to purpose?
Purpose. Once again, I encourage everyone to learn their birth chart because a lot of things that you may not be aware of is in your birth chart. Your birth chart is your own personal guide, your blueprint of your life. And if you're lost and not sure, it gives you guidance. It's not going to tell you exactly what you need to be, what you need to be doing, but it's going to guide you. When you start remembering your soul, what your soul is, then the higher power starts sending you signals and signs to go towards what you need to go towards.
Yes. So, and that, The Alchemist, the book, I don't know.
Yes.
Everything in the universe will conspire to work for you. Once you do that in your birth chart, when you was talking about that, it gives you insight. Some words will jump out. And that's why I was just telling my son, he was like, I don't believe in astrology. And I said, why? And he was like, I just don't believe that, people won't date people. I said, that's not smart to not date someone based off their zodiac. I said, it's nothing bad about any sign. It's just,
at all, because they're all within us.
Literally, we have all 12.
We have all of them.
But I'm like, it gives you an idea of how to navigate and do different things. I said, it's just traits. That's it. It's just telling, it's like you said, it's a little blueprint to different ways, like your communication. And I do, like Leo. I big Leo energy, you know?
Literally.
And I feel like even when people meet me, they're like, what is your sign? And I feel like that's the vibe of the Scorpio. My rising is Scorpio.
Yes, they can't tell. Very private, very hidden.
Yeah, it's very mysterious.
Mysterious, yes.
That's what it is. And they be confused. They don't know. And then when they get to know me, they see I do have a lot of Cancer, Pisces, but I also have a lot of Leo. But I'm moving towards Aquarius. I'm a humanitarian. I'm supposed to be here to help.
Literally.
You know, that's what I am at my core. And I know that, you know, and I had to, you know, even without my birth chart, now I know, but having that, it just be like,
it's like a confirmation to me.
Makes sense. Yeah,
it just makes sense.
But if you don't know yourself, it'll help you, give you insights of who you are.
Exactly. And that's what it did for me. It helped me get insights on like even what we're doing right now. Like my Chiron, which your Chiron placement is basically a placement where your wounds are. Where your wounds are is connected to your healing abilities.
Yeah.
And mine just happened to be like, I was so nervous for this. Like I'm nervous about expressing myself. You know why? Because my wound is literally expressing. My wound is in Leo. Yeah. Like I have wounds with Leo energy, like being seen and being like that's a big wound for me. But but my purpose, look at my purpose literally has to do with me talking and me expressing myself. So when I heal that wound by doing something like this and talking, it allows me to be even more in my purpose. The more you go towards like sometimes things that you're not comfortable with, because your purpose can be in something that you may not be comfortable with. But you got to do intuition.
Yes.
You gotta be open enough.
Yeah, and you know what mine is in? It's in Cancer, and I'm a Cancer. And when you talked about like the different things that you discussed, like from childhood, I'm very emotional. I'm very in tune with emotions. Like, you know, my moon sign is Pisces, but it was hard for me to express because once again, I don't know, childhood, you know, having us suppress, not talk. And I'm just going to be transparent here again. I did not discuss it was hard for me in relationships to talk about what I was feeling.
Yes.
It's hard for me to talk about that. And now I'm a therapist. And it got to a point where I was like, you know, suppressing so much that when it was time to, you know, I could not, you know, bottle it up so much. I exploded. I blacked out.
Yes, same
moments.
Same.
And I had to learn, I'm like, if I don't get this under control, this can leave me being in jail, honestly. Seriously.
Yes.
Like one of my blackout moments, I woke up and I was handcuffed in the car.
Literally.
Issues, but I can't do this anymore. I have a child. I had my son, and I was like, I can't do this. I have to express how I feel. And I said, I don't want to be in another relationship where I'm holding back.
Yes.
I found my last relationship. I found myself doing it. But that was the biggest mirror relationship. It was like the most toxic, but most healthiest for me in growth.
Me too. That's how I feel about my last relationship. It was the most healthiest, toxic, best dynamic for me to grow. Like,
and
that's what mad at it.
You have to do to get to where you need to be.
Yep.
To find your purpose, but
absolutely. I feel like all of those things, everything we experience in life, like when you really listen to your higher self, that inner voice, you know, and learning how to separate it from fear, because intuition and fear can look very similar.
It
can. Yes. And because we operated in fear, because a lot of our societies and family dynamics taught us fear, we don't really get to know intuition, but the more you actually learn, and it's by listening to those small nudges. Like
it is.
it's the
Don't
small
ignore
nudge.
yourself. Don't
Yeah.
ignore you. Listen to
Ignoring yourself is literally the word is ruining your like the way you listen to your intuition. I read about that.
it makes
Yes.
your voice, the voice that's not for you, louder. It makes your that inner critic louder and your intuition quieter.
Yes, quiet. Yep. Yes. So I guess the answer is listening to your intuition is how you found your purpose, and it's through healing. And like once you start going through that route, everything else actually start making sense. Like you get all the. That's how I moved to Texas. That's me listening to my intuition. My life looks crazy to people because I've listened to my intuition.
Yeah.
But it makes sense to me.
And that's all that matters.
That's it.
That's all that matters. I tell people, you are with yourself 24/7. Like you are with yourself more than anybody else on this earth. If you're not good, you can't show up for nobody.
Nope.
You can't. That's why it does start with self.
Yes.
If you're not in a good place, you can't.
And not the pretending. Because I feel like a lot of people pretend. Like you gotta be really good. Like, are you for real happy with you? Like, what is life fulfilling for you? And if it's not, change it. It's okay. Change it.
Yes. And that I don't know, when you just said that, it reminded me about like a lot of the comedians, like famous comedians, committed suicide. It seemed like they were genuinely happy. They're the most happy, but they wasn't.
Yes.
They was not happy.
And that's what I feel like that's literally what happened in my past relationship. We presented, and it's not that I wasn't happy. In the most part I was. Mm-hmm. But I wasn't to my full. I wasn't happy at my full potential.
You were content. And that's what a lot of people do.
I was content.
That contentment.
Contentment can look good. Yeah.
It feels good because it's not. It ain't toxic. It ain't drama.
Exactly. That's exactly what it was. Yeah. And sometimes I feel like that's why sometimes it's hard for people to get out of those dynamics, because it's literally not bad, and it's not the best, but it's not bad. Yeah. So it's like, okay, I'll deal. But when you really actually sit with yourself, are you truly happy? And you end up learning that can't nobody do that for you.
No, you gotta do it for yourself. Yes.
It goes back to self.
Self. It goes back to self. But thank you so much. I really appreciate it. This is good.
Thank you.
Purpose. I feel like a lot of people want to know what their purpose is, and like a lot of people ask me what I feel like their purpose is, and that's a journey you have to take for yourself. Like a lot of these topics, it's just something you have to process and deal with. I'll say on your own time through self-reflection and all that good stuff. But what do you feel like your process has been finding purpose?
This is so cool. So everything for me probably will lead back to my spirituality. At first, I would think that my purpose in life was to help others and to help them be great people and help them do good things. But on my spiritual journey, I realized that my purpose is for the will of God to be done in my life. Mm-hmm. So whatever it is that He has called me to do, I do it and I glorify Him. Mm-hmm. And so I know that, yes, I am supposed to go and help people, but I'm supposed to help people find Christ. I'm supposed to help people understand that they can trust in God. Mm-hmm. And so I have built my businesses around that. I have focused my life around that now, like currently. On this journey that I'm on, I find myself somewhat like a disciple. Mm-hmm. Right. So I have all these businesses, and I know like people don't want to be religious and they don't want to always talk about God, but I found myself in a place where I have no other choice.
I agree. I feel the same way.
So if I feel like if I'm not giving Him credit, then I'm not fulfilling the purpose.
I do. I agree. I feel disillusioned. I don't feel genuine when I'm not mentioning God. Like at first, when I first started, I'll just say in life in general, I'm gonna say my relationship with God wasn't the strongest. In starting my private practice and doing therapy, it was easy for me to be like, oh, okay, because I feel like technically and ethically we're not supposed to bring it up. So, but it's like right now I can't
help it.
I won't deny God because how I got to where I'm at is God.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
God got me here, and even helping my clients. Honestly, this is the first time I've said this, but through my journey and helping others through therapy, like as soon as we get the mental going and they feel like they're in a good place, they all turn to spirituality, and they ask me about like, what do you think, like. And it's literally people ask me about their advice. Like, do you think I should go towards this religion or this? I'm like, I can't tell that.
Right.
You know, but you have to find your own way. And I tell them, if you feel like you're called to do that, go to it and just experience and see what happens. And I also, you don't have to find a certain place, but you have to find that relationship with God. Like no matter, I just feel that, and they're coming. Like I talk about my experience, but they through the healing journey, and as soon as they get through like the things that they've been through, it automatically goes there for them.
And that's how it's gonna go. that is how God has designed it. I always just say the scripture, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not to your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him and he'll direct your path. And that is it. I'm someone that believes that words have power, and that scripture is so powerful for me because it's like everything I try to do on my own fails. But as soon as I add God to the mix, it just starts to blossom. And so it's like, why would I sacrifice everything to try to figure it out on my own when he's telling me, like, just bring it to me and I'll help you. And so it's easier for me now in this current walk. Like I say, I call it discipleship. In this current walk that I'm in, for me to take all of my businesses and place them. God, this is what I'm doing. This is what I have a desire to do. But if this is not what you want me to do, take it away. And every time I do that, he builds on it. I'm connected with the right people, or he'll send me to the right place. And it's like, he'll give you the desires of your heart, but you got to seek him first. Seek him first. And it's like, he's going to be like, okay, yeah, this you can do. No, not so much. We're not ready for that yet. You know what I mean? And I know that, a lot of people feel like they can pray and pray and pray and nothing happens, but there's a reason for unanswered prayers. Sometimes that reason could be that's not for you. Sometimes that reason could be like you moving a little too fast, and you can, like we were talking about time. This is where I ask those questions like, what is time? Because God has no time. He does things according to his will. And so when we even set ourselves in that place, like there is no time. Because we really don't have time to like waste, right? And so if we're doing everything that, like, even the things that we're called to do, or purpose, the things that we have purpose in, if you focus on that stuff, you'll notice like you don't have a second to waste on something that is not building. You know what I mean? And so my career. I'm gonna tell you this too. So when I left my job to be an entrepreneur, like things were good in the beginning. And so then when things started to slow down, immediately I was like, oh no, I need to go get another job. Right? So I applied for about 126 jobs, and I know I'm qualified for the jobs. I have licenses, I have all kind of stuff. I done been in every field, every career, everything. I done done everything under the sun. And I got turned down almost by every job. And I'm like, what? But when I prayed, when I left my job, when I left the 9 to 5, I prayed that God would not send me back to work. So why are you trying to go back to work when you asked not to go back to work? And so I have to trust that he's leading me and he's guiding me. He never fails. And so like everything that I have going on, from food and sanitation, the training up the bartenders, CPR, first aid, the non-for-profit, I have a perfume line, I have a fingerprinting business, like all of this stuff that I do, when I place it in God's hand, it just starts like unfolding. And so now it's gotten to the place where he showed me what's important. Yes, you have all of these businesses, but you can't handle all this stuff at one time. And he said, this is what's going to draw in the money. So right now I'm currently working on the food and sanitation and the food service company. I am trying to get into the CPS school systems, where we supply their meals, their breakfast, their lunch, their snacks. But I'm also trying to get into the prison system, so that we can supply their breakfast, their lunch, their snacks, or whatever it is they can have, but on a healthier level. So that's where God has led me to, like, yeah, you can do all this other stuff. These will be your side hustles, but this is where you're going to focus, because this is where I'm going to bless you. This is where you want to be a millionaire. This is where you're going to get it from. And so
important too.
absolutely.
So it's extremely important. And I feel like those are two places that need it the most, honestly. The children and the people incarcerated. Yeah.
So like people, like, because I have been dealing with like all these illnesses, diabetes, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, all this stuff. I learned about sugar. Sugar is the most powerful drug that has ever been invented. And all we do is feed our children sugar. So even with the healthy meal programs that they have in the school system, you have to send over your menus. You can't have too much of this and not enough of that. But it's still like, you allow them to season the food. You allow the companies to come in and feed them donuts and things like that, as long as it has a certain amount of grain in it. And so it's still like, you still feed them sugar. You still not helping them. And those kids that are being diagnosed with like ADHD, check their sugar levels.
Yeah, and you know what's so ironic? I'm reading this book right now. It's called the 12-week, something like 12-week plan to be the better you. And that's the first thing that he talks about is your diet. And he was like, I don't really want to call it that, but that's because it's a part of your lifestyle. And he was saying like what we eat, because the 12 weeks is it's supposed to be helping your brain. A lot of people who have like really what you were saying, like the ADHD, and he talks about Alzheimer's and things like that, brain development issues, like it stems from what, he talked about the sugar, and he talked about what we eat, and he was like, it just has to be different.
If you go, like I've traveled so much, and I've seen that you travel a lot too. If you go to other countries, you'll notice like they don't eat like that.
They definitely don't.
When I was in Rome, like I was looking for our version of Italian food. And so I was like eating, and I was like, where's the salt? Where's the this? Where's the that? And they're like, we don't.
Yeah, everywhere I've been.
It's not like that.
Yeah, everywhere.
We don't eat like that.
They don't eat like that.
When I went to Israel, so I went to Israel during the Passover. And so when I went and found out like you can't eat too much of anything before 4:00. And I was like, they were like, you can drink juice, you can have water, you can have tea. I was like, what am I supposed to eat? Like, what food? And they're like, they're not really, they're like fasting. And so they're like, well, we have oats and, all this stuff. And I was like, I'll just wait till 4:00. I'll fast with y'all. So I'll give you some chickens. I'll give you this. And so even at 4:00, you'll notice like people aren't eating like crazy. Like McDonald's didn't even taste the same.
Oh yeah, the restaurants that they have that what we know definitely is not.
I was like, what kind of meat is this? And they're like, oh, beef. Where do y'all get y'all cows from?
Yeah.
Like, it's so different. And so knowing that even in Canada, like candy and stuff, it tastes completely different. Like, where you have like, okay, a Kit Kat.
Oh yeah, the chocolates don't taste the same at all.
So I was like, and you know what? To be honest, to me, it tastes better because I know Canada picks up on a lot of French style cuisines. And I know when I went to Paris, like the food was very light and fluffy. There was like no weight to it. There's no fat in it, you know. And so even in the chocolate and the candy, I think they get their stuff from somewhere else because they don't get it from the same place we get it from, or we mix it and add stuff to it so that
the foods that we have here are banned in
everywhere. Yeah, absolutely, because it's too fat and it's too much sugar, and they don't want their people
processed. And I was I was just looking up something, and it was something about the foods being processed, and it was like other countries kind of it's illegal and things like that. And I'm like, why is it here? Like, but it's to preserve like how long the food lasts, so they can sell it and all that good stuff. But it affects our health. Like it affects our.
It all has something to do with the pharmaceutical companies. If you continue to eat processed food, you'll be on some kind of medication. Mm-hmm. So. That's the biggest company. Yeah, absolutely. So yes, the purpose.
But I think that's a really great. That we need that, honestly.
We do. We absolutely do. And it'll help you find your balance.
Mm-hmm. It does.
It helps you find your balance.
No matter, you can't run from it. I feel like all my life it has led me to where I'm at. And I didn't see it. But I'm like, yeah, God has been guiding me this whole time. And
every test, every trial, every tribulation. Like people can only talk about God when it's the good stuff. Mm-hmm. But even in those times where the molestation and even in times where me losing my sister, everything has strengthened me to get to a place where I can help somebody else.
Yeah, your experience, it was supposed to, it was supposed to happen and not to hold you back or unless you allow it. Mm-hmm. But it was meant to happen so you can okay, this story allows me to help somebody else. I can, and also to show no matter what you've been through, you're not that. You're there because God created you for a purpose.
Absolutely.
You don't have to let those circumstances define you.
Absolutely. Everything. If I could, I'm going to tell them now. If I can tell anyone that's listening anything, know that it was necessary. Mm-hmm. We are all called for a purpose, and we have to live out our purpose. Don't let anything stop you from getting a relationship with God, knowing God for yourself, and being okay. Well, it's okay to talk about Him. Yeah. Because He said, if you deny me, I'm going to deny you. Yep. And my denial, His denial, listen, please don't deny me. Let me in. When it's my time, let me in. Yeah. So yes, find the purpose in life and get a spiritual relationship. Be okay with knowing that you're not alone because he's with you. Yeah,
I love that. I wanted to two things that you said. First, I had seen your sermon and it was it had to happen that way. And one of the examples, he was on a plane and he was sitting next to this guy and they were just talking about their childhood, and the guy said that he was adopted and it was just he was talking about his experience, but in being adopted, his adopted family, they were all pilots and things like that, and that's what he became. And he was and at first he was when he found his birth family, he was it was a lot of jealousy and man, but when you look at the surroundings, God put you in this opportunity, in this space, because you were meant to do this and you were meant to be here. Absolutely. And that's what the guy was telling him. He was you know what? I never looked at it like that. I was holding so much resentment in from being, that I was giving away, but you wouldn't be the person you are today if you had to stay in that environment, because that's not what I want to say, but in that book too, and just I've been seeing environment plays a bigger factor than genetics. And it has been so many studies showing that your environment plays a big factor in how you turn out. And then it was something else that you said that that faith. Because some of these episodes we've been talking about, religion, Christianity, and all that. But it's like, one, faith without works is dead. And I feel like a lot of people believe in God, but a lot of people, it's a trust in the knowing. If you don't trust and know wholeheartedly, things are not going to happen anyway. You can pray like all day, and then people keep praying for the same thing. That's not meant for you. And then it's like, do you really have faith and trust in God? Like, do you really, I'm not going to say believe, because I do believe that. And I feel like a lot of, this is why a lot of people stay away from some religions. I feel like people do believe, it's just that they're living in fear. They don't really have that true faith and trust God. Like, God is going to make a way.
So let me help them. Mark 11:24 tells us that if we pray it, we believe it, we'll receive it.
Yeah.
So I don't care what faith you are. Whatever you believe, that's your personal experience. But pray and believe in what you're praying. Believe that God hears you and you'll get it. Like, a lot of people think that because they're good people, that they're going to make it to heaven. But the Bible tells you it's not about your goodness. It's about your belief in Him. And so I don't like pushing religion on people. I don't like forcing people into any type of religious, but all I can speak about is what I know. And I know that the God that I serve is a true living God, and He has blessed me in so many areas. When I was suicidal, if I didn't have my children, I wouldn't be here. And so in those situations, I came in the presence of God and He healed me. And so I know that everything that I've gone through in life, there is purpose in it, and it is necessary. It's necessary because my test is going to be a testimony, and it's going to save the life of somebody else. My testimony is going to awaken the fire within somebody, so they'll be like, you know what, I need to go and serve the God that she serves, because look what happened for her. If He can do it for me, He'll do it for you. But you have to believe. So that's what I tell people. Just trust and believe that God's got you. I know it might not seem like it sometimes, and I know we want things to happen on our time, but when we allow God to do what He does and take us to places, sometimes we have to get there because the purpose is so that we'll learn a lesson. You know what I mean? So I've had like all kind of money, and I've been super broke. You know what I mean? And I prayed like, God, I want this, and I want this house, and I want this car. And He like, you don't take care of the stuff I gave. I gave you a 2-bedroom apartment. You didn't take care of it. Now you want a 5-bedroom house. Okay, here go your 5-bedroom house. Now it's like, God, no, I want a $500,000 house. You can take care of the $200,000 house. So why am I give you a $500,000 house? So we have to understand that, like, everything is necessary. You know what I mean? Sometimes we have to learn lessons. Otherwise, if we didn't learn no lesson, we'll be doing what we want to do and keep on doing what we want to do. And where's the blessing in that? How are you helping somebody else?
And you keep repeating it until you learn the lesson you're supposed to learn.
And people have to get out of their own selves. Like, it's not about us. It's the journey, the walk, the purpose. It's not about us. Like, our purpose is servanthood. We need to go out and help somebody else to get to the places that we've been or the places that we are. There's so many people that want to travel the world, but they don't know the thing about traveling the world. They don't know how to get passports, you know what I mean? And so even our experiences in traveling and going to see other people will help somebody else, you know what I mean? So trust and believe. God got you.
And I'll say, I feel like, I don't really know, just taking it a step further, not only believing, knowing. And that's that full faith, full trust. Like, just know, like, But also, I like that you just said that, because I'm just this traveling myth. A lot of people who have elements, I don't know, in the Black community, it just happen like that. They believe that they can't get a passport, and that's not true.
It's not true.
You can get a passport with a fellow. But I think travel is necessary too. But we're gonna get, I'll say, to the next topic, but is there any lasting things? I know you already said.
Yeah, no, I just want people to just trust and believe in God, and just go out and do some positive things and watch, like, let God use you, and then watch how you're blessed, watch how your life just changes. You know what I mean? Like, be a change maker in your purpose. That's what I'll say.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much. Purpose. Okay. So I feel like a lot of people are searching for purpose. I have friends, family. A lot of people ask me what I feel like their purpose is, and I'm like, I can't tell you that.
Right.
You gotta answer that for yourself. So what do you feel like your purpose is, and how has it been, or what was your process in finding it?
So I think everybody has a purpose on this earth. When you come into this earth, a lot of people are just like, well, I don't have, even if your purpose is in your backyard, whether that's you baking cookies at a cookie shop because that's what you love to do, out in the community. So people just have different platforms. Some people got a smaller platform. Some people have a larger platform. And again, some people are just within their community. So for me, I feel like your purpose is something that you are really, really good at, something that you don't mind doing, something that you do every day on a daily basis that you're just not getting paid for.
Yeah.
And it feels good because when you start working and again, going back to what society wants you to do, like, oh, you got to go get a degree, you got to go work a 9 to 5, you got to do all this stuff. I feel like your purpose is this innate ability to do something that that you're empowered by, that you love. And for me, I know that me just operating in the space, I feel like my gift is in my mouth. I don't talk a lot. I'm very reserved. I don't really like to speak, but I am a person that helps people in a way, like I can see if someone comes to me and they're like, oh, I'm so confused about X, Y, Z, I can see straight through them. I'm like, oh, it's like easy for me to put it together. So no coincidence that I'm in the therapy space and life coaching space. But for me to find my purpose, it took a lot of just trying to figure that out through trial and error of, again, just trying to do it the way that we were taught to do it. And so for me, it just took for me to just kind of really sit with myself and really figure out what was for me and what was not working for me. And what was not working for me is waking up every day in the middle of the night with a headache, trying to figure it out. I used to wake up in the middle of the night and I would be like, it got to be more than like going to work, working 9 to 5, and just doing this thing over, just waking up and just
doing the same thing every day.
I was like, I can't do this though, and that it used to bug the mess out of me, and so I couldn't do it. Like I was like, I can't do this no more. And so for me, I had to figure out what that was. And it took for me to go into isolation, go within myself, and really do some deep soul searching as far as like what I wanted. And the more that I did the soul searching, I became detached from the worldly stuff. I was like, this is not it. And so, it takes a lot to get to that point. Like, you're going to go through life, you're going to go through stuff. And I feel like sometimes people be thinking stuff is happening to them. Life is happening for you.
It is.
And you don't realize.
Yeah, that's what I just said. Like, I was just literally reflecting on my life. And I'm like, man, God has been literally putting the pieces together. And I'm now seeing I'm really seeing the full picture. And it's like, it all led me to here. And it's getting better and grander. I love it.
Yeah, because sometimes people can be like, oh, well, why is this happening to me? Why is this job doing this? It's not that the job is doing what it's supposed to do.
Exactly.
The people in the place is doing what they're supposed to do. It's not that, it is life forcing you to do the thing that you're supposed to do.
Yes.
So it will put you in a position to where you are uncomfortable. And I said this one thing a couple days ago where I was like, you feel like life is just pinning you in a corner. It's not life pinning you in a corner. You keep running to the corner.
Yeah.
It's comfortable there.
Yes.
Like, okay, let's do something different. So, and for me, like I said, it's just me operating in that. And I'm happy that I'm in a space of just operating in truth, what feels authentic to me.
Yeah, I love that. Is there a message, I would say, that you would want to leave the audience in regards to finding your purpose?
I would say that if you are again in a space where you just feel like life is just hitting you upside the head, you are just constantly in a rat race going, like I did, waking up every day with this. I know it's more to life than just, me waking up to just doing work in this cycle. Just stop and pause and think about like what feels good to you and go for that. Like I said, people's purpose can be in the things that they love, whether you going to open up a bakery shop or, the thing that you love to do, go after that. Don't think about like, oh, I gotta work this 9 to 5 because life is changing, life is evolving. And so you have to change with the times. And when you change with the times, you realize like people are out here in entrepreneurship. People are out here in purpose. So step in purpose on purpose.
Yes. I love it. Thank you. So I feel like a lot of people in life are trying to find their purpose. I have like clients, friends, just people ask me like, what do you think my purpose is? And I'm like, I don't know. You got to find that for yourself. Yeah. So can you tell me about what you feel your purpose is?
I feel like my purpose is big. It's actually bigger than myself. I feel like my purpose is to be the most impactful that I can be.
Yeah.
One of my 2 main goals that I want to do, I want to be able to educate over 500,000 people about financial literacy and credit, and I also want to create over 1,000 six-figure earners. So that's one of my main goals that I want to actually accomplish. But to figure out what my purpose was, I had to actually figure out what moved me, what was I good at doing. And that came with a lot about identifying what I liked about myself and learning myself. So I had to figure out that I actually like helping people. I like helping people that come from the background that I came from, or other people that feel like they can't make it out. I had to see somebody make it out to feel like I can make it out. So that's what I like to give back to the people, because I feel like if people know me, they know who I am, they see me overcome certain things, they're going to be like, oh, if he can do it, I can do it. You know what I'm saying? And that's how you spark that for everybody. You want to be able to spark that little inch in their brain to make them, think about going all the way up to the top. So that's what I was mainly focused on. So me figuring out my purpose, I used to pray to God all the time, like, God, what is my purpose? What am I here to do? And it just was always quiet. I was trying to figure it out, doing everything else. Certain things weren't working out how I thought it would work out, and when I wanted it to work. So I'm like, man, God, just give me the chance to just run the play. I'm going to do it. And I had to start going through sequences. So it took me getting in trouble. It took me going through every single thing that I went through to figure out what I was made to be doing. Like what I was made here for, and what my purpose was overall is to be impactful and to help people. So that's when I had to really dive in and lock in on what I was trying to do. So one of the main things that helped, so this is how I figured out my purpose. And I read this in the Bible. It says, whatever makes you angry, you were meant to change. So what made me angry is seeing single mothers that grew up on Section 8 and poverty that couldn't help themselves, children that didn't have the same upbringing as the other children that had everything, the silver spoon in their hand, and they had to fight for everything they got. And people didn't understand why certain kids end up the way they end up. It's not that they're just bad kids. Some kids are not as fortunate as the other children that was able to have these things. So those were the things that made me angry. I don't like the way that the system is. I don't like how they treat black men. I don't like certain things that the culture pushes on us. I don't like what they do to our people. So it made me want to change that. So that's how I figured out my purpose, because I figured out what made me angry about what I didn't like. And I'm like, I want to change that. So I think that would be the main thing for people to figure out their purpose. What don't you like about what's going on in the world? What don't you like? What do you want to change? And I think it'll make it a lot easier for some people if they can figure it out that way. And that was just one of the passages I took from the Bible. I can't remember the actual scripture it was, but it just always stuck with me. And it made me feel like, okay, I need to do that. So I just want to be able to do that for people that they can even been in a worse predicament than I was in. I just want to be able to show them that it's other options outside of doing negative things in the world, and that everybody has a place. You just got to find it. You just got to figure out where your placement is at in the world, and you figure out how to get aligned on what you got to do. So.
I like that about the scripture that you mentioned that helped you get to it, because I feel like in a sense that's kind of what made me fall into where I'm at. Giving people a voice, and that's all I'm gonna say. But it was something that you said earlier. I was like, oh, I never thought about it, but it made a lot of sense when you first started talking about purpose. And you were talking about everything that happened to you in your life led you to your purpose. And I always believe everybody's purpose is tied to helping and service to others. But it's the everything that happened in life. I feel like this kind of making it whole come full circle this whole podcast season. But I feel like everything that we go through in life is like, we feel like, why me? Like, why am I going through this? And then like, once you really start, okay, why did I go through this? Start working on yourself, start
learn that lesson.
It's gonna lead you straight to your purpose. And I because a lot of people do go through things. And like you said, some people go through worse, but seeing your way out, this whole season is like, yeah, we all go through these things, but it's still tomorrow. We
wake up with another day to keep pushing and trying. As long as you got breath in your body, man, you just need to keep going. Like I tell myself, my heart gonna have to stop beating before I stop giving. Like before I stop giving this 100%, I'm gonna keep giving this 100% and 100% and 100%. I'm gonna stay consistent at what I'm doing because eventually that consistency is gonna add up.
It does.
It's gonna outpace anybody that's probably mastered what they're doing because they probably, if you master something, obviously you didn't put in them 10,000 hours, you steady doing it. But there's some people that get complacent. They get real complacent and they start kicking their feet up and taking a little time off. And there's somebody grinding at the bottom, up 16 hours, working 16 hours, putting all that back into their business and giving back to the community. So which side of the field you gonna fall in? Are you willing to go the distance? Are you willing to be better than the next person that's actually putting in that time? Are you gonna push harder than them? Are you gonna push yourself to be the breadwinner in your family? Are you gonna change the circumstances for your people? So I look at all of that, and that's where I'm like, man, it gotta make sense. And sometimes, and this is a little off subject, I feel like a little bit of survivor guilt always kicks in because I lost a lot of people along this journey, and man, it just made me feel like I had to do something to, make up for all of that time that they didn't get to be here with me. There's certain people I feel like should be here on this journey with me, pushing with me, doing what we're doing, and they didn't get a chance to do it. So I feel like I owe it to them. I owe it to myself. I owe it to my family. And more than anything, I always got to give glory to God because he allowed me to be here in my purpose, in my placement, to be able to do what I'm doing now. So, yeah.
I love that. And even with the survival skip, I feel like I feel like I didn't lose a lot of people, but I feel like sometimes I have a guilt in just like with family, friends, like that's going through life. But we all have to, I'll say, we talked about this a little bit off, but we all do have to want it, and you can't want it for anybody else.
More than they want it. They gotta want it. You can't want it more than they want it for themselves. Like if you want it more than they want it for themselves, it's never gonna work. So we gotta lock in. It's real life. Life is real right now. Inflation kicking in. Man, you got to learn more about real estate. You got to get built into land, learn about equity. You got to learn credit. You need to learn stock. You need to learn a skill, period. I don't care what it is.
Yeah.
You need to find your place in this world and figure out how to get active real fast because our culture is slowly getting wiped off the map. You know what I'm saying? So you got to get in tune with what's going on and get in tune fast because right now it's getting real.
I agree.
Things is changing fast. Things is happening fast. And our people are so far gone into stuff that don't even matter that they're not going to think about in the next 5 to 10 years. And by the time they really do get, woke or what they call it, the woke or get knowledgeable, then it's going to be too late because we're going to be getting blown out the water. The Chinese people buying up everything. You got the Indians getting everything. Even the Hispanics is doing a good job, and I always talk about this is that when you look at all of our cultures, Black people, it's so hard to work amongst ourselves because we always trying to be the level up on the next person to do something. You can put, and this is no offense to nobody, but you can put 10 Hispanics in one house and they can all save their money and put it to one common goal. You can't put 10 Black people in one house and tell us all to put our money towards something because now I'm gonna be looking, hey, how much you put up? I just put up 1,000. You only gonna put 2 up, man, what? People look at that kind of stuff and we too busy pocket watching instead of working. So if you was able to make your own money and do your own thing, you wouldn't be worried about the next person doing. So they able to put 10 people putting their money up to one common goal, whether it's to get the next one a house, they putting that money up so he can get a crib. Then other 9 gonna put their money up. Then the 8th person get, they moving them up. You can't do that with our culture. It's never gonna happen. Well, it can happen. I'm not gonna say it never gonna happen because it can happen. So I take that back. But we have to start getting equipped change that mindset to where you can start thinking bigger than just the smaller common things that's going on in the world. You got to think way bigger than that. Life is way way more, like it's way more to offer. It's 50 something states in the world, you know what I'm saying? And there's other countries that we haven't even explored and been to yet. So you got to be able to be open-minded and travel, live life, figure out what you like, figure out your peaceful place. Like, man, just get in tune. I don't know.
I feel like that. Yeah, it's 100% true what you just said. It's a lot of people out there. It's just saying that, you know, competition happens at the bottom, collaboration happens at the top.
Yep.
And even being open to, I can learn from you instead of like, you're my competitor. Like, no, we can learn from each other.
Yeah.
We can help each other grow. And I hope that they can see that, because even what you just said, like, I want to be the example. Like, I've been through this. I was in the streets. I was selling drugs. I was doing this, but I changed. I went to jail. I did prison for it. And that 6 years is a lot of time to be going away.
Yeah.
And yeah, it is. But you still, persevered, stay consistent. And a lot of people don't see that. But yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
Hopefully this message can reach people, and people can just doing a little self-reflection, it goes a long way.
Yeah.
It does.
And I think, like you said, just the way you summed that up, I think, like, man, you just got to you have to be real with yourself. Take accountability. Look yourself in the mirror and ask yourself, are you happy? If you were to leave today, would you be happy with your accomplishments that you were able to overcome, or whatever you did? You need to ask yourself that every day. If you were to check out right now, am I happy with what I've done?
Yeah.
And if you're not, then you need to go do some more work, you know. And that's when I figured out my placement with actually figuring out purpose and just figuring out who I was. I had to write, who are you? I didn't give myself no simple answer. I didn't do I'm Arius Alexander, I was this and that. Like, no, you got to dig deep, like really dig deep. You a father, you a brother, you did this, da-da-da. You got to really dig deep into that bag and figure out who you are.
At a core, like,
yeah. So
what are your values?
What are your values, and what moves you? What keeps you going? So like that just goes back to that. So like, yeah, just to sum it up, like that's pretty much everything that I would say.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. Okay. Before I close out, I first want to thank my guests, as always, for their courage and vulnerability. Thank you for being honest. Thank you for choosing truth over titles, because it takes strength to say, I'm not my job. I'm more than what I produce. I want my work to feel like purpose, not pressure. And to those of you listening, let me say this. You are not your job title. You are not your paycheck. You are not your productivity. If no one's told you this week, you don't have to chase the bag. You are the bag. You are the resource, the strategy, the anointing, the vision. So ask yourself, are you pouring from pressure, or are you pouring from purpose? That cliche we started with, don't put all your eggs in one basket. It doesn't mean scramble your energy or exhaust yourself with busy work. It means be rooted, be clear, branch out from truth. So more questions, because I want y'all to start reflecting on your lives and be at peace in your life. So you got to reflect on it. But what is your root? What do you value beyond money? Does your lifestyle reflect what you say you value? Are you building something sacred or just something safe? And while we're talking about truth and purpose, let's talk about integrity. We were taught early that integrity is doing the right thing when no one's watching, but let's go deeper. Are you polished and professional at work, yet miserable at home? So many people hate their job, and now they come home taking it on their kids, taking it on their family, because it could be wife or husband, because it ain't always just men taking it out on their family, because it's some women, it's a lot of women hate their lives, honestly. But no, I don't even want to get into that right now. But yeah, they employee of the month, but snapping at their family behind closed doors. But say they value family and say they working because of their family, but but what it looks like is you hate your family. But people say they value peace. I just want you to be my peace when you need to be your own peace, but stay in chaos. I used to think I had integrity. I ain't gonna lie, but now I do, because I already said it. I used to say I value my family, but it didn't look like it. And it wasn't me snapping on them. It was me gone almost 12 hours out the day. Then I'm sleeping 8 hours. I'm only giving my family 4 hours. And that's not even quality time, because I still got to be cooking, cleaning, helping with homework, getting things together, because I'm a single mother. I mean, that's just my truth. But I had to realign my life, because I wanted majority of my time to be put in things that I value, and I value my family. I love my babies. But I just want to say this too. When I was reflecting on my life and those 4 hours, and most of it was me going into responsibility mode because I still have to be a parent. And when I was just seeing my kids just in their phones too much, and I just didn't like that. I feel like a lot of parents are letting these devices raise our kids, and I don't want that. I had to shift. I didn't want my kids' memory to be of me. Mommy was always working. Mommy was always gone, because also when I had free time, I felt like I had to go and be on vacation or do this. And I'm like, that's more time away from my kids. I was like, okay, now I'm incorporating them in every single thing I do. I'm at home 24/7, honestly. I mean, unless I'm going somewhere. But I wanted my kids to have real memories of me talking to them, loving on them, hugging on them, helping them create the life they don't want to escape, because this is my life. And of course, I'm a part of theirs and we are part of each other's, but my goals and my dreams will look different from theirs, and I'm going to help them. But I'm creating my own blueprint for life. I asked myself, if I could create the life I don't want to escape, what would it look like? And this is what I've been telling everybody. And I think I said this before. I imagine it down to my wake up time, the weather outside, what I'll eat, where I live, how I feel. And then I started creating that life piece by piece. And I'm still creating, drafting that life, still adjusting, but I love it. And guess what? Me and my kids have never been closer. This summer, we're driving across the country. We're going everywhere. By the time this episode airs, we'll be in Arizona, living, not just surviving, which I'm just going to say, it gets me into our final song of today. And I did this song before, I think last season or the first season, but Solange, Cranes in the Sky.
I tried to drink it away.
That song reminds me of how much we try to avoid feeling by staying busy, but peace doesn't come from overworking. Peace comes from alignment. So as I wrap up, let your life be a reflection of your truth. That means live from your values, not just your tasks. Let your work tell your story, because whether you're a parent, an artist, an entrepreneur, teacher, your work is your offering. Let your story serve with purpose. Everything we've lived through, it has meaning. You didn't go through what you went through just to be tested. So turn those tests into testimony and give God the glory, because when you stop chasing and start creating, God multiplies it. I know the journey isn't easy. Even now, as a businesswoman, business owner, I have moments where funds get low, doubts creep in. But one thing I never stop doing, paying myself first. Not just financially, but mentally, spiritually, emotionally, because this world will have you working just to pay bills and die. But I'm here to live, and live with God, for God, and through purpose, with intent. That's my word, 2025. But until next time, take care of your story, your purpose, and most of all, take care of you.